Hey book lovers, Victoria here and you're watching My Books Me, and it has been a hot minute. One, since I filmed a video, and two, since I've even uploaded on this channel. I just looked, the last video I uploaded was over a month ago. It was my summer haul, which was, I think I filmed that late. Anyway, the point is, and then before that I haven't done videos on this channel for ages, and I'm bummed about that, but also I haven't been reading too much, so I haven't obviously had the motivation to film anything, but I've got back into reading recently, absolutely loving it, and I thought I would do something I haven't done for a while, and that is film a TBR. I used to do TBRs every single month for like a good year or two when I first started BookTube. And I then stopped because I didn't like being confined by what I'd selected to read, because half the time I didn't read what I sort of had put on my TBR. I might have read like one book and then like ended up reading other things. But I wanted to do a May TBR because one, I've got a lot of books to read that I want to share with you guys. And two, I'm deciding to like participate in some readathons during May, which kind of a cheat because I already had a list of books I had to read, and so I've kind of just fit them into the readathon prompts. But let's just go. So to start with, there are 28 books on this TBR. That involves me having to read one book a day. 28 books. That's a bit extravagant, isn't it? Yes, it is. Even just saying that sounds stupid. Anyway, 13 of the books are books I'm reading for review, which is crazy enough as it is. Like, I should just stick with that, but I've added extra. Let's just go. So firstly, let's talk about readathons. So there are a few month-long readathons that I want to get involved with, plus a couple of like weekend or like week-longs. So let's just go. I'll go through these in order. If you want to know more information about them, I'll link them all below. Firstly, we have the Hypathon, month-long, and the theme for May is Magical May. So you read hyped up fantasy magical novels that you haven't yet read. I haven't added too many to this TBR. There is a book of the month, which is A Darker Shade of Magic by V.E. Schwab. I do have a physical copy, but it's literally at the bottom of my book stack, so I'm not going to get that out just yet. I think I have an ebook copy, so I might be reading that. I've not read Darker Shade of Magic, and it has definitely been one that I have wanted to read, so I'm thinking it might be a good time to pick it up. It's been a while since I've read proper fantasy, so I kind of need to like work my way back into it. So I haven't added a ton of books to the Hypathon TBR. The only other one I've added is House of Blood and Earth by Sarah J. Maas, the first book in the Crescent City series. This one only just came out, in March I think it was. I haven't read it yet, and I've kind of been putting it off because one, it's massive. It is like 800 pages long. And two, because it is a fantasy that is quite long, I haven't really felt the urge to jump into it when I've just been inhaling contemporaries for the past few months. Past like 6 months has predominantly been contemporaries for me, so I kind of need to, you know, dip my toe back in the water. And you will also see that House of Blood and Earth pops up quite a lot throughout this whole entire TBR prompt thing. And next we have the medieval-a-thon, again another month long. The idea of this readathon is that the more you read, the more you increase your nobility, and all of the prompts revolve around acquiring a wardrobe, weapons, and a pet companion. And again, the more books you read, the higher up you go on the nobility scale. You start off as a prisoner if you read no books, and you go all the way up to an emperor or an empress if you read 7 books, I think it was. And again, everything linked below. So I have filled out most of these prompts with all the books that I kind of had to read. So firstly, the first prompt is a book that has yellowed over time. I went with The Outsider by Corey Martin. This is the first book, and I'm not in focus, the first book in the OC novelization series. As you can see, where's a newer book? As you can see, it's yellowed. Next up is a pristine book, and for that I went with Only Mostly Devastated by Sophie Gonzalez. This was sent to me for a review back in March by Hatchet, isn't it? Yes. It is pristine, unread, still looking as pretty as the day it was sent to me. I've been really excited for this, and I need to read it. I'm annoyed that I haven't read it yet, so I definitely want to read this one this month. Next up we have a shiny book, and for this one I picked Wicker by Harmony Nice because the leaves on it are copper foiling, which is really pretty. I've suddenly had the urge to like pick this up and read it. It's a non-fiction, and so I kind of want to try and read it this month, or at least start on it. It's one of those books where you can just dip in and out of, and I don't have to like read it cover to cover in one sitting. But yeah. Next we have a book with your favorite color on the spine, and I'm kind of cheating with this one because I don't know what the spine looks like because it's an ebook, but I picked this because the title has blue on it. Blue's my favorite color, so I'm assuming that the spine of the book, of the physical copy, would also have blue on the title, and that is Lucky Bastard by KAYLEE. Yes, this is a book in the Cocky Hero Club series, yeah, the Cocky Hero Club collection, which is actually coming out. The first round is coming out this month. Actually, the first 2 rounds are coming out this month. It's part of that, it's coming out. It's a book I'm reading for review. Then we have a book under 300 pages. I haven't checked this, but I'm assuming it is because a lot of books of this genre are short. This is Flirting with the Frenemy by Pippa Grant, the first book in the Bro Code series. Then we have Green on the dust jacket, or green on the cover, and for that I chose Through the Lens by KK Allen. Of course the title has green in it. Another prompt is Dragon on the cover. I didn't choose anything for this one, predominantly because dragon on the cover usually implies that it is a fantasy. Didn't want to add more fantasies to this. Then we have something pointy on the cover. I went with Moxie by Jennifer Matthew because of the pencil and there's stars, and I just really want to read this. I also just love how freaking pink this is. I know that I haven't read this one yet either, so I'm hoping to be able to get to it. Then we have Start or Finish a Duology. I didn't pick anything for this one, even though it is super easy to pick a book that is the beginning or the end of a duology, but none of the books that I have to read this month are part of series like that. So I kind of left this one blank, but I mean, I could probably find a book if I have the time to read any more books. Then we have a romance, which is essentially literally every single book that I've just shared. But for this one, I have Jock Blocked by Pippa Grant. This one actually doesn't have a cover just yet. It is coming out this month. And it is actually the 4th book in the Bro Code series. Yes, the 4th book. Then we have a heavy book, and I've chosen House of Blood and Earth by Sarah J Maas. It's kind of cheating because I don't actually have a physical copy of the book. So like, it's just the weight of my iPad, but let's face it, it's an 800-page book. It is a chunky book, it is a heavy book, so even though I don't have the actual physical weight with me, I'm gonna use it for this. Then we have a book you have high expectations for. We have Hot Mess by Emma Hart. You guys know that I love Emma's books. It is coming out this month and I'm excited for it, so I have high expectations for it because I know it's gonna be good. I know I'm gonna love it. Fingers crossed. Next, we have a scary book, and I chose More Tales of the Midnight Hour by J.B. Stamper. This is 13 Stories of Horror. I've owned this book forever. I literally paid 50 cents for it at a garage sale when I was a child. And back when I did originally buy it, I think I read like 1 or 2 stories from this, but that's about it. I don't know how scary this is actually going to be because it is for children. Like, it's a scholastic children's book, but we'll see. I'm excited for something a little bit different. Next, we have a book high on your bookshelf, and for this I chose After by Anna Todd. This book is literally where I point, like that's how high up it is. It was at the height of my door. See my door there? That's how high up it was. Actually possibly even just a little bit higher because my book stacks go to like, they're nearly at the ceiling. Haven't read this one yet. Bit ambitious because it's friggin' huge, but we'll see how we go. The next prompt was buddy read with a friend. I was tempted to put House of Earth and Blood here because my friend is actually reading it at the moment, but we're not buddy reading it, so I'm gonna leave that one. Then we have a book with C in the title. I chose Cocky Captain by Ellie Masters. This is another book in the Cocky Hero Club series. No, not series, it's not even a series, it's a collection of books. Again, coming out this month. A tall hardcover. I left this one blank. 1, I don't own that many hardcovers, and 2, while I do own a lot of hard books, wow. Even though I do own a lot of tall books, none of them are really ones I feel like reading at the moment, and let's face it, I've already got enough books on this list without adding more. And finally, the last prompt for Medieval-a-thon is Orange on the Dust Jacket, and I chose Looking to Score by KAYLEE, June, and Carrie Gray. Right, so now we go on to Readathon. This is again another month-long readathon. The theme for this month is Escape to Another Land. I filled out majority of these prompts. So first we have read a fantasy that takes place in a made-up world. Naturally, House of Earth and Blood by Sarah J Maas. Pretty sure it's another world. It's a fantasy, it's Sarah J Maas. It's not taking place here. A prompt I left blank was read a book with a character who escapes. Didn't really want to find a book with a, I don't know, it just felt like a bit too much of a research for me to do. Then we have read a contemporary that takes place in a country other than your own. That is pretty easy for me, even though there are a lot of contemporaries that do take place in Australia. The ones I'm reading at the moment don't. I didn't double check this, but I'm assuming it takes place in the US, and that is Secret Keeper by Christopher Harlan. This is another book in the Cocky Hero Club collection, coming out this month. And another book I pulled off my shelf, which I don't even know why I picked this one, but I was like, you know what, I'm gonna read this one. So the prompt is, read a book that has been stranded on your TBR the longest. This technically hasn't been on my TBR the longest, but when I was pulling books that I wanted to possibly also read this month, this caught my attention, and of all those books, this is the one that's been on my TBR the longest, and that is The Siren by Kira Cass. I don't even remember what this book is about, but I've had it since it came out in 2016 apparently. I think I was set this one for review and didn't read it. I'm slack. But yeah. The other prompt for Readathon is read a book chosen by someone else. I left this one blank. Then we have the seamayden-a-thon, which is again another month-long readathon. There is also teams in this readathon, and each team has a book to read. And I didn't look at which books were for each team before I selected my team. So I'm Team Alossa, which I would have picked anyway actually, because the team read is Daughter of the Pirate King by Trisha Levenseller. I don't actually have a physical copy of this book, but I do have the ebook, and I have been meaning to read this ever since it came out. So I'm excited. I know I didn't want to have too many fantasies on here, but like, I'm okay with this one. So then prompt 2 is read a book with a sapphic romance, which is a female romance, a lesbian romance by, you know, that feel. I didn't actually fill this with something because I don't actually have many LGBTQ plus romances, so I would actually love a recommendation for this. I probably won't read it this month, but give me your recommendations because I want to add them to my TBR. Then we also have read a dystopian story. Naturally, I left this blank. Dystopians aren't really my thing, so anyway. Read a book out loud, at least one chapter. This is kind of an easy one. It can be any book. I chose Dr. Heartbreaker by Catherine M. Hurst. This is another book in the Cocky Hero Club collection. Pretty easy to read a chapter out loud with this one. I just have to be careful what I choose. Read a book recommended by a friend. I might add in House of Earth and Blood here as well. I didn't actually have it written down, but I'm gonna put it in here because my friend has just finished reading it, and so she's like, read it. Even though it technically wasn't on, even though I was planning on reading it before she told me to read it, but like, whatever, I'm just gonna whack it in here. Then we have a summer beach read. I'm gonna go with The Siren again. I'm assuming that this takes place on a beach and is somewhat summery. I don't know, it's set by the water, that'll do. I'm stretching here, guys, I really am. The next three I left blank. So read an intimidating book that you've been putting off. I might put after, hang on, I can hold this up, can I? I might put this here. I've been putting it off because it is a bit of a chunky read. Read a book that's been on your TBR forever. I didn't want to go back and find those books, so we're just gonna forget that one. Read a book with a magical kingdom. We're just gonna leave that one blank. Read an own voices novel, which I have not done enough of, and I feel bad for not doing that. So I picked When Dimple Met Rishi by Sanjay Menon. This has been on my TBR since it came out, and I'm excited for this one. Like, I'm annoyed that I haven't read it, but we're gonna go for it. The other prompt I left blank was read a real tearjerker, and let's face it, I cry when I read anything, so I'm probably gonna cry through half the books that I've just already mentioned. Okay, so they're the month-long readathons I'm gonna be doing. So the next 4, or 2 anyway, a week-long or weekend-long readathons. So we have the Disney read-along from the 10th to the 16th of May. These prompts are based off of movies. You don't have to read Disney books, but they're based off Disney films. There's also a movie watch-along, which is going to be Hercules. I don't know if I'm going to participate in that. It will depend on what day and time it is for me here in Australia, but Hercules is a good film, so I might just watch it that week anyway and not part of the actual when everyone else is watching it. So onward, read a book with magical creatures or beings in it, House of Earth and Blood. Frozen 2, read a sequel. I chose America's Geek Heart by Pippa Grant. This is the second book in the Bro Code series. The Great Mouse Detective, read a mystery or thriller. Not really in the mood for that, although isn't part of House of Earth and Blood kind of meant to be like a bit of a mystery like thing? I don't know. I'm not going to double up within readathons, but eh. Then we have Lady and the Tramp, read a book with romance in it. Liar, Liar, Hearts on Fire by Pippa Grant. This is the third book in the Bro Code series. So essentially I'm reading I'm reading all the books that are currently in the Bro Code series, one of which is coming out this month. And then we have A Cover Is Not the Book, Read a Book You Judge by Its Cover. I went with Wicker by Harmony Nice because the main reason why I even was drawn to this in the beginning was because I just really love the cover, even though I do know what it's about. The reason why I chose this over some of the other ones that are similar themed is just because of the cover. So then the other readathon is the Shrekathon, which takes place from the 15th to the 30th of May, and the prompts for this are based off Shrek characters. So we have Shrek, a thriller or a book with green on the cover. Oh, where's that book? So with Attachments by Rainbow Rowell, you guys will know that this is a book that I said I really wanted to read this year, and I thought, why not? Whether I'll get to it is another thing. We'll see how we go. Where are we? Princess Fiona, a fairy tale retelling. I didn't choose anything for this one. Donkey, a book with an animal on the cover. I chose House of Earth and Blood because it has a bird on the cover. Puss in Boots, a book written by a foreign author. Pretty easy for me to do, even though there are a bunch of obviously Australian authors. There are like a million more overseas authors. So I picked British Banger by Jennifer Woodhull, another book in the Cocky Hero Club collection. I'm pretty sure she's not Australian. Because I think out of that whole collection there's only one author that I know of that's Australian, and her book doesn't come out yet. I left the next two prompts blank. So Gingerbread Man, a book with food on the cover, but I was really tempted to put any of the Cocky Hero Club books in here that I hadn't yet mentioned because of the absolute snack on the front cover. And then bonus, a book with adventure. Probably any of the other books that could probably fit in here as well. I also want to participate in this month Bout of Books number 28, which goes from the 11th to the 17th of May. I've never done Bout of Books before, so I don't really know what's involved with Bout of Books, and if there's any prompts or anything, or just reading. I still have a couple of books that I need to read as well, plus also the 24 Before Monday, which takes place on the 28th to the 31st of May. And yeah, I'll probably share more about that later. There are 4 more books that I want to get to this month. And these are actually all books. These ones are all books I have to read for review. So we have Dirty Player by GWYN McNamee, Sweet Spot by Rebecca Genshak, Layover Lover by Jeannie Collette and Laura Runow. Those are also books in the Cocky Hero Club collection, as well as Secret for a Secret by Helena Hunting. I know that this is an ambitious AF TBR for the month of May, but as I said, I have 13 books anyway that I want to read for review, and there are a couple of other books that I want to start reading. So fingers crossed I can get to it. As I said, I'll link below to all the information for all of these readathons, as well as a calendar of all the readathons for May. Let me know if you're participating in any of these ones or any other readathons. And if you want to know updates on how I'm going with all this, make sure you're following me on Twitter and Instagram. And of course, I will be posting reviews over on my blog through the month as I read all these books. If there is a book that you are interested in and want me to do a video for, then please let me know. I'm thinking I might end up doing a video for the Cocky Hero Club books. There's way more books than the one that are being released this month and next month, and I think maybe even July, than the ones I've mentioned in this video. But yeah, just let me know. Let me know. And I will hopefully see you guys at the end of the month with a successful wrap up. I don't know if I'll actually do a wrap up. We'll see how we go. But like, hopefully at the end of the month I can say, yes, I read a good number of these books. So yeah, pray for me. Bye.